Okie dokie, let's get the show on the road. I'd like to see some faces if possible. That'd be quite nice. We've got quite a small group today, but that's fine. We'll just do a bit of a more cozier meeting. And we'll tell you all about the world of DevOps and SysAdmin. It's an exciting sphere, and there's a lot of information to learn if you'd like to get into it. And today we'll have two different talks. We have myself. I'm going to present Ansible to you and how you could benefit it while orchestrating your server empire. Also, we'll have Roman presenting Terraform architecture as code. So hopefully you'll get some use out of these two talks. We'll have this event recorded and then published later on to see for people who might want to watch it later as well. So it should be on YouTube. Ansible. So I'll give you a brief introduction into Ansible. I'm going to base it more on a bunch of demos that I'm going to show you. It is a bit of a deep rabbit hole. If you go through all of the things that are included, and even just the built-in, the stuff that is provided to you by default without any extra plugins, you can basically just go reading through pages and pages of documentation. So I'll skim off the surface for you and show you sort of the crème de la crème, the best tidbits that should allow you to deploy whatever you like into a bunch of servers if you'd like. All right, so starting off with an introduction. So what is Ansible exactly? Well, it is a software provisioning tool, meaning that it is something that gets your code into servers, into a bunch of them, if you're running big scale operations. And then it can also, configure those machines, maybe even set them up, from the ground up, do the configuration management, and then finally run your application. Now, it was deployed by Red Hat, which is, they're quite a big company in the open source sphere. You might know them from, I think they wrote X11, Xorg as well. They have LibreOffice under their umbrella, a bunch of open source stuff that is really helpful for the community at large. And a part of that is Ansible as well, because it is open source. Very nice. You can actually just go into go on GitHub and take a look at the whole repo for yourself. Contribute. I think it has like thousands and thousands of contributors, which is really nice. Like that. That's what I like to see. And it was first released February 2012. So it's not super. It's not old by any means, actually. If anything, it has just been maturing nicely over the last decade. I think it's now 9 years old to this day. All right, cool. So to give you some stats on the usage for Ansible, this is 2019, and you can see Ansible is right at the very top. It has just overtaken Chef, which is another configuration client that's sort of a similar thing. And then you got Puppet, you got Terraform, which is what we'll be talking to you about today as well, Roman specifically. And Terraform is gaining ground quite quickly. So it was at like 0 in the previous year because it's just recently been released. And then we got Salt as well. But as you can see, 2018 from 36 to 41, quite a big bump. And that's what I like to see. So let me outline to you the problem that Ansible aims to solve. And maybe that's something that you may encounter. So imagine you have a bunch of different servers, like 20 different machines, and you need the same exact software running on all of them. So what are you going to do? You're going to log into all of them and run the service manually? No, you're not going to do that. You can try doing running like a script manually that SSHs into the system and does something for you. But why do that when there's much better solutions like Ansible? So one of the parts of this problem is provisioning. So that could be setting up your code in this system. It could be just setting up the servers themselves, or like the databases, whatever you need for your application to run. Moreover, whatever the application that you want to run on your server is, you will most likely also need some sort of a configuration for it. And moreover, if you have 20 different machines, chances are that you will have configurations for all of them. It could be, a bunch of different things, IPs, logins, whatever, Amazon Web Services credentials. Moving sort of forward with that, the deployment itself and updating, like regular updates of your software, whatever it may be, is also a problem that Ansible aims to solve. And also idempotence. So this is something that is sort of annoying if you're doing server work, is that if you write a script that does something specific for you and you cannot run it again. So it may be like, set up or do some action, set up a package, configure something. And if you run your own script again, and if it fails, then it means it's not idempotent. So that's something that is really, really critical if you're dealing with big action lists of, a lot of different things have to be done in a bunch of different machines. So this is a key factor that makes Ansible the powerhouse that it is. Let's move on to the solution now. So that's Ansible. Cool, yeah, right? It is a performance system, and also you can like boost its performance as well if you don't care about certain things like the order of actions that are happening, or if you don't mind some machines racing in front because they have less load on them, or not adhering to the stages that you sort of declared. I'm going to show them later. Then you can make it super fast. It is also pretty flexible, meaning that if you have a bunch of different machines set up, you can target perhaps just a subset of them. You can say, all right, I'd like just these ones to be affected by this change. Or maybe I can run one change on just these systems and then a different change on all of them at the same time. So that's sort of really a good framework for Ansible to be flexible for you. It is also pretty straightforward to use, as I'm going to illustrate today, hopefully. You can use the script from the terminal. Shouldn't give you much problems. And you can also do the playbooks, which is a declarative form. You can type out code, and it will make your, or basically just do the same thing that you can do in the terminal, but easier because you don't have to type it out again. And some people might argue, most importantly, Ansible is extensible, meaning that since you can run like every single operation basically from terminal, you can use all of the basic Unix functionality that you might want to use. So this could be, you can set up a cron job just to run your single command. That's pretty easy, right? You can do, all the fancy stuff, typing, whatever. Take your pick. So yeah, so that's what Ansible is good at. Now to dive a bit deeper into that, Ansible is a system that is agentless, meaning that if you have a few machines, then if you run something and you expect the same thing to happen on all of them via Ansible, you won't get any residue on those servers. So you won't have to install anything on them, like any programs or anything. The way Ansible works is it basically just connects to all of them via SSH directly, executes whatever it needs to do, and then backs off. And it doesn't leave anything behind, which is really good. And because if you think about the difficulty of maintaining like legacy systems, old Windows stuff, like if you can even do cross-platform management. So if you have a bunch of old Windows Server machines and then some new, whatever Linux Ubuntu server, 2019 or 2019, I think is the latest one, it will work in tandem. It won't break, which is really good. And secondly, the second point or axiom of Ansible would be the idempotency that I was talking about previously. So this means that if you have an action, if you run it, if you run like a declare statement, it won't run again. If you repeatedly run the same playbook, for example, or the same action, it won't repeat the action unless it's needed. Like if you have a configuration change, it will not perform the change again and again unless you change the file in such a way that your change no longer exists. So then it has to re-add it again. So this is really good because for things such as installing packages. You don't want to override and re-download the same thing over and over again, because that's just wasteful and pretty horrible. Yeah, and then moving on, it is declarable, but it can also be procedural. So to expand on this, what I mean by declarable is you can basically say, I want this, this, and this, and this, and then Ansible takes care of the way that that's done. So this gives you a lot of power. Mainly, this is really linked to the dependency thing, because it gives Ansible a lot of control to check what has been done. But you can also do procedural stuff. So you can define your own scripts within, your playbooks. And that means that you can like manually install something or manually modify whatever you want. And so that gives you a lot of power, of course, but then you have to keep in mind that you have to also be, or try to be, as independent as possible. So if your script doesn't work the second time around, you have to either, cut it short at the very beginning, prevent it from executing, or, do the mental gymnastics yourself, which Ansible does for you if you use their given utilities, of which there are a lot, by the way. All right, so how about a quick little demo? Because a lot of this speech is going to be demos. So let me give you an example here. So we've got, can you still see the screen? Is it all good? All right, let's give you test, I think. There we go. So this is a URL that links to nowhere. I opened something else. Okay, that's a spoiler. Don't look at that. So it actually does not work. There's nothing on the other end at the moment. Literally nothing. It points to a machine. The only thing that I did do in preparation is that I linked it to or I pointed the DNS to a server that I have here. So yeah, let's now take a look at. Let's move this out of the way for now. So DSC1 is the machine, and you can see I'm even requested for a password. Like I can't get in easily. So that's quite annoying. So let's use Ansible. Cool. Let's go to DSC DevOps test. All right. And I think I had this command somewhere. Yeah, there we go. All right. So I'm gonna have to do quite a few inputs in here, but this is just because I'm running it, the first time I ran this before. But this represents like the goal of what we want to do with Ansible. This is just one machine, but it can be extended pretty easily. So let me put in the SSH password and now the vault password. I'm going to explain this later. But there we go. So I've given Ansible the wheel now. It's going to gather up the facts. First of all, it's going to set up my SSH key on that machine so that I can log in easily without the password or anything. It will set up, so it set up the message of the day. It gives us the uptime here. So you can see it's up 38 days. Very cool, like whatever you want, status updates. It will update your packages. It will install some new packages that I need. So in this case, I'm installing Docker mainly because I'm running this thing on Docker. It provisions the project, starts up Docker, gets the config for this website into the server. And then it finally sets up the whole composition, which includes the database, it includes Nginx, it includes something for HTTPS, it includes the application itself. So you get all of this, and I ran it with one single command. Of course, I declared this little playbook here, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So now, if I refresh, boom, website, the exact same link, HTTPS, all complete, easy peasy. And that's like it's a database connected, so we can do your. It may not let me. Okay, it does actually let me connect. That's cool. There we go. I'm logged in. I can look at stuff. Log out. Sick. All right. So that's what I want to achieve basically with this time today that we have. Cool. All right. So hopefully that. Oh, I can show you the DSC1 now thing. Yeah, look at that. The DSC hype train. And I can log in without the password, as you can see. So I have my SSH key added. So now I can, this is the actual, this is the project that I had set up, and it's all launched. Very cool. All right. So to now give you some examples, let's go back to the presentation. So imagine that you want to run the same command on a bunch of machines. All right, cool. So this basically encompasses ad hoc things. So this is, whatever you say, it has to be done at this, right now on all of the machines that you want. And yeah, basically what I said, simultaneous operations. And you can also even use this for like monitoring stuff, like very basic monitoring, like the uptime that I showed. You can also look at, more complex metrics if you want, or alternatively, you can set up maybe like a monitoring, some sort of a Grafana thing, if you know what that is, like a big dashboard, and automatically connect your machine to it, just like I did set up the application just now. So you can basically do a lot of things here. And we're right back into the demo land. And let's see. So for the simple control, let's get out of the testing. Let's do, let's do main, sure. Okie dokie. So let's start with just a tiny demo. So for now, I can't do anything because this is literally an empty folder. I'm going to show you that I can start from absolute zero, and we'll build up the stuff as we go. So let's go. Let's first of all, let's just do a ping. And since I don't actually have any machines, we're going to do target this machine, my own computer, which is going to be a local host, which is cool. And we're going to do we're going to choose a module. We're going to choose ping. Yeah, let's just ping ourselves. Cool. Yeah, we pinged ourselves. How cool is that? Not very cool. But this shows you that if you had any machine set up, this is how you would execute off of the command line. So now imagine you wanted to run some command on like a machine, right? So imagine this is not my computer, this local host here. You can set up, you can say, if I had multiple machines registered, I could say, run on all of them, run on a section of them. For now, let's keep it localhost because let's not misspell, because I will be adding them later. So let's just move on one step at a time. So let's say I want to run a command. Okay, there's a shell module for that. There's a module for everything. Like there's Docker modules, Kubernetes stuff, Git, file management, everything, like whatever you want. Pretty much. And if it doesn't exist, you can make it because it's very extensible, as I said. And let's run, sure, let's just try running, this is the argument flag. We're just going to run ls. All right, cool. So I ls this directory, which is empty, as you see. Okay, very cool. Instead, let's, how about I check the uptime of this machine here? Okay, nice. One user, 9 minutes. So I think I've restarted at some point. All right, nice. So let's now say I'd like to see, like, if something's running bad on like my plethora, my 20 machines, I could say, okay, let's set up or let's check the most resource intensive processes. So I'll use stop for that. We'll use this is a bit of a hack, so it doesn't capture the std in. We'll do a batch number 1, and we'll do like the top, what was it, 20? Yeah, 20 lines. Let's try that. Boom. All right, so I've got, there's the Zoom thing taking a bunch of my CPU. This is not correct probably, but, or actually I may not have a GPU acceleration set up, but anyway. So this is how you see. And if I had like multiple machines set up, you could basically take this and get a bunch of results, 10 different results at the same exact time. And get all of your status at the same exact time, which is really nice. Moving on, let's. I'm going to show one more example with this. This is going to be a. Actually, let's not do an example of that because we're going to run out of time. Let's go back to the presentation. All right, cool. So this was a quick demo for the server control. Now, server configuration. So this is going to be, I'm going to now set up a bit more. We're going to do just a little setup here that I have. This basically just sets the inventory directory that I have. And it also says the remote user by default to be root, because this is what I have on the machine. It's not untouched, essentially, the remote machine. that I'm going to be targeting. And yeah, let's create the inventory. So make their inventory. We're going to do, what are we going to do? Hosts. Yeah, let's make a host. So here you can, in your host file, you can do like, you can classify a bunch of stuff. You can say, yeah, these are my databases, and then say, one, or whatever your server name is. And then for this, you can set up, you can start writing your variables right here. So for now, I'm going to be setting up the IP for this address. So let me get that in a second. Boom, there we go. Cool. Now, if I go out of here, I should be able to, okay, let's say I'm just gonna try running this on all of the machines. So it won't run on the local host anymore. Okay, so this works, cool. So it now tries to connect, it can't because the machine is unconfigured, as I said. So this is, we're gonna fix this later, but for now, let's do, let's just give the password to Ansible, and I'm basically showing to you how like annoying this can be, because if you're doing like a bunch of operations, you won't be doing you won't be entering a bunch of passwords while you're doing them. So as you can see, this is an empty system, like there's nothing. The top command itself was the heaviest thing that was running. So yeah, so this is pretty cool. Let me take a look at my notes again. Okay, so we can do the exact same thing. So now we actually interface with the machine, not this computer. So let's say I want to get the uptime, whatever. It will ask me for the password again. That's fine. And boom, there we go. 111 days. Holy, okay, that's a lot of uptime. All right. And all right, so the demo here was for server configuration. So this could encompass, access control. So I'm going to show this later, actually. Stuff like packages or like modifications to the system, if you're doing them, or if you want to set up jobs. This is, also like the category that this belongs to. So let's say I want a package on the remote machine. So I actually did alias the remote machine. So it's DSC2. So I actually named it 1, but it's 2 here. So I may actually rename it. So it's not as confusing to me. Let's see, 2, boom. And now, so if it's, let's just log in. There we go. And what I'm trying to show to you is that we're gonna try to get a machine. Okay, I miscopied the password. All right, so this is the default splash, like Contabo is the server provider here. There's nothing on the machine at all. And let's say I want to use Cause. S. Okay, not found. Cool. So instead of that, let's use Ansible again. So let's use shell. Actually, let's not use shell. Let's use the module package. And the arguments, we're going to do name is what I need to pass in. So let's get Cause, right? We'll still need to give the password because it's still not set up. But yeah, let's just do that. And now, like in this package module actually works on any system. You can use the aptitude APT. This is for Ubuntu and a bunch of other stuff that is linked to it, Debian based. But you can use the package thing, and this will work on. It may even work on Windows. Actually, it's like a cross-platform thing. So that's really good. Yeah, so it changed. I printed out the status here, but that's all good. So now if I do DSC2 and I log in, I should be able to say Cause, not Cowday. Hello. Hey, there we go. So that's the package is now installed. So this is exactly how you build up your server. Like this is, from the command line, but this is how you do the actual setup. So I'm gonna start rushing through a bit. But let's, yeah, I'm gonna just start basically copy pasting stuff. But let's say I want to do like a file setup, right? I want some sort of a configuration file. So let's say there's a config here. Let's say it's yeah, config.conf. Cool. Whatever, port or post, whatever. This. So now let's use Ansible on the, yeah, we'll have to do that on this machine. So this is 2. We'll use the block and file module. This is going to basically allocate a nice little block in your any like config. And this is really a really good way to modify configuration files automatically, because then you can remove them really easily. And I did give a flag create true here. It's not actually necessary. And the config thing here is off. So I think it's roots config.conf, right? Should be. And the block is going to be listen 8080. So this is something, whatever. You're listening to some port. Okay, so I'll need the password again. Let me just get that real quick. And it should, with any luck, boom. All right, so nothing has changed. But if I can out the config, there we go. There's a Ansible managed block here now. So that's really good. And then, of course, what you can do is you can say, you can run the exact same thing and say state equals absent as another parameter. And then it will actually remove your block like without any hassle. Boom. And if you were to add a bunch of other stuff, it will preserve, everything, keep it all nice and tidy for you. So that's really, really nice. Okay, moving on. So now we've come to the actual application deployment. So this is going to be the meat of the presentation. And for this, we'll start working with playbooks. So this is essentially what I showed you in the console. You can use the exact same modules, but in a file form, essentially. So it's easier for you to run multiple times. And you can do whatever. You can like deploy yourself. You can run a command that you want to run, like start a server, node something, a file. Or you can use all of the tools provided, by the community, they have Docker stuff and whatever that run your compositions or your containers for you, so you don't have to like write scripts, so it's automated. So that's really nice, and we'll be using that actually. So back to the demo. Let's do. I'm gonna open up code here. Let's clear up some. We don't need this anymore. Yeah, let's do that. So starting off with okay, let's just make a quick little deploy.yaml. So this is the only thing that we'll do. This is a YAML file. This is what Ansible uses. Basically, is what you use to do anything. Let's say, let's name our playbook or our play actually. Setup server. Cool. Hosts. Let's say all, because I don't care. It's just going to target our one host that we have. And let's give it some tasks. So starting off with, it's all similar naming, like it's pretty easy. Name, yeah, let's start actually with the SSH key. So set up SSH key, really important. So there's a module for this. Of course there is. This is going to be authorized key, right? Yeah, authorized key. And we'll use, we'll target the user root, because that's what I'm trying to do, or that's what I'm using. Actually, you might want to create other users, and that's what I usually do. But for the interest of time, and we'll give it a key. And this is going to be a bit interesting here, because I'm using a template. And this is going to be these curly things. Ansible puts other values in here that from the outside. So we'll be using the lookup plugin, and we will be basically giving my own SSH public key, so I don't have to like write anything or show you guys anything. So this is really nice, and you can actually do like set up your own like mini files or deployment place that you have all your files in, and just read it from there. So let me just put in the directory here. So it's going to be home.
Alice, could you please increase the font a bit?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. There we go. Blah, blah, blah. How about that? Yeah, that's a really good point. So this hopefully is big enough. Yeah, SSH. I'm looking for my public key. So this is going to be, let's say, yep, seems about right. I've got my notes on the side just so I don't mistype, because I don't want to waste any time. Okay, and now let's start doing Ansible playbooks. So playbook. We're going to be running on, okay, so we're going to run deploy. And we will have to do ask password, I think, still. Okay, yeah, because we don't have the key yet. So give the passwords. Okay, I mistyped it. The indentation is wrong. Okay, cool. Yeah, retry, not fortune. Run that. All right, pray that it works. And if it does, we'll have, so it gathers up some facts and it changes the SSH key. Now, I'll give you a quick example. If I run it again, I actually don't need the ask pass anymore because I have the SSH key. So I can just run it and it won't add another thing again. This is the dependency bit. So it'll gather the facts and it will not modify it. So here it's changed. Here it doesn't do anything because it's already added. So it's not like it doesn't spam your files full of nonsense. And now if I try doing DSC2, I'm in, easy. So that's it. I've had my SSH keys added, no more passwords. Very, very cool. So let's get working on this application here that I had wanted to show, the same one that I ran. So we'll do, yeah, these are whatever examples. Okay, so let's start building our little here playbook. So moving on from this, we'll need a few things, and I think I'll start copy pasting quite a few things. But first of all, let's just I'm going to show you how to do the let's just make a files directory and make the message of the day hello here, and let's just save it to the files. Yeah, very cool. So now we have the hello like message, or actually no, this is going to be message of the day. There we go. Now let's make the same thing like the hype train that was in the other machine. Let's just set it up so that we have something here that is pretty quick because I'm trying to save time. So let's use the copy module because there's a module for every single possible thing that you might want to do. The source will be files mod message of the day. The destination will be I think it's editable text configurations message of the day. There we go. This is not how you do dist or dest. Yeah. There we go. Okay, now let's rerun. Let's get out of here. Boom. And I will be just changing or copying this file over. And then if I do SSH DSC2, bang, hello, wonderful, absolutely cool. So this is how you build your playbooks. So I'm going to skip a few things here. I'm going to start copy pasting because I'm running out of time really, really quickly. This is going to just updating the packages. I'm actually using the API aptitude module here. So it's pretty, it's a lot easier. We'll be doing some other stuff. So I'm installing a bunch of, I'm installing Git first of all. Then I'm installing pip, which is going to be used for Docker, so I'm only doing this because I'll be using the Docker module that is within Ansible. So to make it a lot nicer and easier. So yeah, so I can run this now, and this will hopefully give me a pretty, let's just reallocate maybe to this. Okay, I lost my history. Ansible playbook, not poll, playbook. Deploy. There we go. It's just going to take our single tiny machine and run this whole thing on it. So we're just doing a bunch of installations. And while this is going, I'll actually continue because I wanted to do it in steps, but there's no time for that. So I'm going to clone. I'm going to use the Git module since I just installed Git here. I want to clone my boilerplate that I have to a destination. And this update here is basically, I'm going to be changing something. And hopefully it's so it doesn't freak out later on because I changed something and there's uncommitted changes. Yeah, and then we'll be starting Docker because that's something that we need for running our actual application. So there, we'll need a service there. And now this is an important factor because this is a bit of a mini config management thing. So I'll actually add not a folder but a file here that I'll be just pasting this stuff in too. So this is going to be actually I don't actually need this, but I'm using just the basic config for this project that I have. So I put it in there. What you can set it up however you would like. And then we'll be running it. Yeah, so set it up. And then let's move on really quickly. So this is still going. It's installing all the packages. That's really good. And yeah, and actually the only thing that's left to do after that is to actually spin up the composition. So yeah, this is pretty good. Pretty good. And now there is one thing here that I won't have time to do, and that is setting up. So I will have to modify one file in the machine, in the server. Usually you would just be able to do it just like that and just run it and it will work. But I do have a configuration thing that I'll need to put in the domain manually. So let's just let it finish the package installations here. Okay, so it failed to get pip in here. That's annoying because I have it here. Let's just try it again, I guess. Oh wait, is it just Docker? Yeah, okay, let's just try with the basic pip. Yeah, it's maybe like a super old server that I have. Let me just do a few tests. Pip. I mean, pip works. Okay, let's try running this again. So it will do a bunch more stuff, but before it actually finishes up the setup, I'll have to modify something. So okay, so pip is not actually available anymore because it doesn't exist. All right, let's just get rid of it. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is a bit of a freestyle thing. So things like this can happen and will happen. Let me just go on with the presentation while this is happening. So yeah, so I basically showed you how to transfer files. You can also do host specific things. So you can say for the two named machine, you can set up, it would be inventory host variables, and you have your two YAML, and then you can have something equals or not equals 50, or forces you answer to anything, whatever. And now you can use this actually in your playbooks. So here, for example, you can say you could run something and say something, and it will actually just pull the current hosts variable that's running. So that's really cool. To further that on, I did actually want to show how to do templating, but we won't have time for that. So imagine that you have a file and you want to only put something for some servers in. So you can actually use the file itself. You can actually use these are Jinja templating, I don't know, macros, whatever. You can use them in here as well. So you can say something, and it will, like if you just copy it, it won't work. But if you do templating, which would look something like this, so you actually template as whatever config to a config file, it will replace these variables. So you can make huge files with a bunch of variables, like tons of stuff, and not like this, but whatever, and it will work. So that's really good. And this is something that I use very often in actual production, because there's a bunch of stuff you need to configure usually. Okay. Oh, look, it works. Cool. Now, so we've got the clone. It's going to start up Docker. I will have to do a quick modification. Let's continue on because I'm running out of time. So secure variable. So imagine that you have some variables that you want to be secure. So imagine in here, the to thing. Let's say you want to do, okay, well, I'll have to do a DSC DevOps, I think, main. Okay, so let's do Ansible Vault. Let's use Ansible Vault. So this is something that will encrypt all of your variables. So we'll do inventory host vars 2. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, it does. Let's just give it some password. Okay, okay, it doesn't work, but let's just edit them instead, because I already created the file. Okay, it doesn't work at all. So let's just get rid of this because I didn't get the chance to show it, but that's fine. Let's create it now and give it a password. And there we go. So now I can do, I can put anything in here that I want usually, or let's actually give it 3, and let's do secret. Ooh, 42, the same thing, but it's secret this time. So now I've set up something that I can access by doing, by running Ansible. But if you look at the file itself, inventory host vars 2, it's just an AES encrypted bunch of data. So that's really good. And it doesn't decrypt at any time unless you decrypt it manually. So that's a really good way to protect your data. So moving back out, actually I don't have to move anywhere. Let's see if this works. Okay, composition pretty much done. Let's now go to SSH DSC2. And as you can see, there's a bunch of stuff happening here. So there's the app thing that I cloned down. Docker should be running. Yeah, it is. There we go. That's really cool. So that's now, I need to modify the Docker compose, I think. Yeah, so I'll just have to just basically add a domain in here. Instead, you could template this pretty easily with the Ansible, but I'm saving time. So DSC my domain. This may not actually need anything. Let's just do auth DSC, yeah, whatever, and then give it an email. Whatever. This is not an email. This is not my email, by the way. I don't know. Okay, whatever. Hopefully it doesn't bother anyone too much. Cool. Yeah. So I'm doing this manually just because it will. Okay. So now, okay, it found the vault, by the way. So now I can't actually run it. I can run it, but because there's a vault, I will have to do ask vault pass here. So I'll enter my super secure password, and there we go. Decrypted. So whatever variables I had in there, I can now use. And you can actually set this up to be pretty seamless. That's what I say here. You can read. You can set up a file that's only on your computer that automatically decrypts the thing for you, so you don't have to enter any passwords. So this is now going to go really fast because everything's already done, as you can see. So hopefully this works as I finish the presentation. And yeah, so let me just finish with a few things. So first of all, rolling updates, big thing in web dev. And this is something you can pretty easily do with Ansible. So imagine you have 20 machines in the hosts file, for example. And the way to do the rolling update is if you have a load balancer somewhere, you can run it from Ansible. And then you can set a playbook here. I didn't get into the playbook parameters, but you can set this to basically have, I think it's here, like serial 1 or something. So this will only update one server at a time. So this actually makes it a lot slower. But the good thing is that once you run this whole thing for one machine, it updates, and then it goes down, it updates, goes back up, and you do this for all 20 of them, and that's an actual like literal rolling update. So you're doing one by one, and you're managing it yourself. So that's really good. Yeah, and then like nightly builds or nightly and continuous delivery, like constantly updating them. So you can, the preferred way I think to do it is to hook it up to whatever you're using, your GitLab, Jenkins, or you can just do it yourself. Like I said, just make some sort of I don't know, cron script that just runs it every single night. Run some Ansible script every single night that like does this exact thing that I showed here. So it gets your project, maybe pulls the new changes in and runs it, and you can have like continuously updating machines, which is really good. Another thing that I won't get into is roles, and this is to make functionality like components. So if you have a play, this is what we wrote as a play essentially. The name is setup server. Hopefully I didn't delete anything. Yeah, let's not delete anything. So you can combine, you can make like a small thing that just updates all the machines, put it in one play, put it in a different play as well. So reuse code this way. So this makes the playbooks a lot cleaner. So overview, while this is finishing to set up my big website. So the overview is so that first of all, you register a bunch of hosts. You need to build out your inventory, whatever you need, the files, variables, as you saw. I'm using configurations, other miscellaneous files, variables. You build out that, define your playbooks, and then that's it. And the next step would be automation, as I said, making automatic deployment, so we don't have to worry about anything anymore, basically. So let me just finish this off. Well, this is finishing up, because there's a lot of stuff happening there. There's MongoDB in there, Nginx, like some other stuff I'm going to show you just at the end. But my personal experience with Ansible has been that it's pretty seamless. Like I don't, it's pretty easy to use it, essentially because it does the same thing that you would do while logging into a bunch of machines, but automatically and faster. So that's really nice. And you can like adding new machines is, for me, because I have everything set up properly, is as easy as just editing a few text files, and that's it. You run one command, you wait, maybe a long time, because if you have a bunch of stuff that needs to be done, it will take 15-20 minutes, whatever. That's all good. It's all automated, and it blends into workflow really easily. So if you I don't even like notice it anymore. I just do it. It's it's automatic at this point. I just run the scripts. I have it saved like alias. I don't have to worry about anything. And I highly encourage you to try it out. If anything of this seemed cool, you can like get €2 VPS boxes if you want to try this out from I don't know, Google has some pretty cheap boxes, by the way. So just like virtual private servers, and just play around with it. It's something that's really nice to like just play around with, even if you have just a small sandbox of a few machines. So as you can see, we finished now. And if everything went to plan, this is getting a bit crowded here, but I'm going to get Firefox on. And we're going to DSC. And there we go. That's everything set up. Everything. Like the only thing that I did again is I pointed this domain name because I wanted to do it automatically, but the client changed from the whatever. It's a bit too difficult. And it's the exact same thing. So to finish this off, I'm going to SSH into the box. And let's see here. So yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff. There's the boilerplate running. Let's see if I can get some logs out. Boiler. Yeah, okay. So we got the actual application. You got my authenticator that it's actually not used because you need Google stuff for it. You got MongoDB, you've got Nginx. There's a bunch of stuff running that I just ran basically automatically via a combination of Docker, Compose, and Ansible. And if you, we can maybe look at perhaps the Mongo logs, not Mogno. Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff happening here. Basically, is what I'm trying to show. Yeah, and this is basically my presentation. So I hope you try it out. I hope this has been of use. And yeah. Cool stuff.
Okay, great. Let's mute ourselves and clap as our tradition goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thanks. So, questions? Anyone? I'll be happy to answer anything.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Do you use this tool in the production for your services?
Yeah. So I won't go too much into details, but yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Like the workflow is that every single client gets a miniature, like a small scale machine just for themselves. So that actually encapsulates everything very nicely, and it avoids like identity clashing via IPs and some different stuff that it's complicated. But what we're doing is or what I'm doing, I guess, is there's a lot of stuff. So what I'm showing you here is the basics, but I can actually take a look at what actually happens in a playbook. So, okay, so I won't show anything, but we have, so I set up SSH stuff. I set up like backups 3-to-1. I make user accounts on different machines that the server that I'm setting up transfers stuff automatically on a nightly basis via rsync. That is in a jail, SSH jail, that they can't do any, no attack vectors. It's just one command available on the main machine, and then the main machine uploads it somewhere else as well. So super secure backups. Package updates, Docker. Like I do terminal setup automatic because on some of these machines I'm using Alacrity here, for this fancy terminal, it just doesn't work. So we have to do setup for that. Provisioning, like pre-deployment, we used to do proxy setup, a bunch of different stuff just piled on one thing, and it never broke, like ever. The only ways that it did broke is when I made a mistake somewhere, and I messed it up somehow. Yeah. Hope that answers your question. Anyone else? Or any suggestions or questions? I'm open to anything, all ears. I'm really excited, happy that this finished setting up just as I was finishing up. Great timing. All right, so if there's no one else, I'd like to pass on the floor. Actually, should we do a break?
Yeah, I thought about it. I don't have too intense presentation, so it will be a bit less paced. I think we can finish it quite quickly.
All right. Yeah, let's just do it now then. Yeah. All right, sounds good. So let me just share your screen. Cool.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so nice to see you all. I guess there's no need to introduce myself, but just for the case, my name is Roman, computer science student at TU Delft, DSC mentor this year, and last year I was a lead and also a co-founder at Disconto. A small disclaimer. So this presentation is actually based on another one, which was done for the final presentation of my software project last year. So I guess it's a nice way for me to, it's better for me to credit other folks, who are Kevin, Evaldas, and Dixit. So some of the material used in here was done for our project. Let's first, we will be talking about Terraform, and I would like to first talk about the problem it solves. And it solves quite a specific problem, and I do think it solves it pretty well. So, for example, meet Martin. Martin is a good fellow. Yeah, why not? Martin is a junior full-stack developer at a small arbitrary company. And since it's small, he might be a person responsible for infrastructure. Okay. Meet AWS, Amazon Web Services Management. This screenshot is actually Management Console. Note that every single line in here is a separate service. It's not just a kind of leaf in the navigational tree, yeah, right? So each line, each service may have dozens, if not hundreds, of different pages inside and navigations and menus. So I couldn't even get all services to fit in the screen here. So if you scroll it further, you can find more services to use. And Martin and AWS, met at a job and had a spark between. Martin has set up the services he needed and the company for the company, and look it up. So can you spot the changes? So this is the screenshot was done after the services were set up. No changes. It looks all the same. There are dozens of pages. How can you get to know what has been changed, where are the changes, and what services are used? Of course, AWS has a billing breakdown where you can ideally see the used services, but nothing in specific. So yeah, it's not easy to find the services being used and their configurations, unless you are Martin and you already know which services to look into and where to find needed components and how everything relates to each other. And imagine Martin falls victim to the bus factor. And what is bus factor? It is kind of a problem when information and knowledge is not shared between and among the members of the development team. And bus factor of 1 is pretty bad. imagine, yeah, so you are a developer at a company, Martin is responsible for the infrastructure, and ask yourself a question. If you are getting stuck, if you are getting hit by a bus, then who is going to take up your responsibilities? Does anybody know how to continue everything? In the worst case scenario, you are not even able to log in into the console. I mean, Martin had all the credentials, and what you are going to do. Of course, like in the very, very best scenario, you are not even able to restore these credentials. For example, it's a private account of Martin's tied up to private email address, and what are you going to do? In the better case, you can log in, but again, the same problem. Yeah, what's next? Where everything is located, how it's structured, how it's configured. That's where Terraform comes into the game. It's uses a low-level language, so to describe the different resources, structures, and services used. So using the coded structure, so you can now see now can see and read the clear structure of your infrastructure. For example, in this screenshot, you see at the top, resource AWS S3 bucket. So if you know what is AWS, you probably know what S3 is. So it's a storage service. Okay, so in this closet, you are describing different configurations for the bucket, followed by the resource AWS Route 53, which is DNS, and then resource for CloudFront distribution. Everything is here clear. You describe all you need. You see the structure, and also note you see the relations between the resources. For example, if you can look at AW Route 53 service, there is a name and zone ID which are derived from the underlying CloudFront distribution resource. So it's a relation between two services. So now Martin's passing away is not that bad. I mean, everybody will be sad and missing him, but yeah, AWS will go to Martin's colleague. Yeah, sad story, but everybody will live on. We can now read the Terraform file and get a basic idea of the services being used and how they are used and structured. So how to do that? So when you install Terraform, you kind of in the console, you write Terraform init. So to initialize all the modules used, for example, for AWS, you change the file, you plan the change. So for example, in my production, I just deleted some closets, which you can see on the screen. So it's planned and tells you what it's going to do next. So you need to review it. And if you want to go on, you apply it. But it's important to kind of be careful here because it can break whole your infrastructure if you do something wrong. So you think it's good enough, you apply it. And although in this presentation, I'm using example of AWS, Terraform supports like hundreds of providers, including the big ones listed on the screen. I know I've read today that it also somehow supports MySQL. So basically you can do everything for MySQL. I mean, not columns, tables, rows, not this thing, but a security layer, kind of distribution layer like IP, how to access it basically. So why it's better? It's version controlled. So it's code, you just submit it, commit it. You see everything, how it changes. You can blame people who broke it, etc. It's centrally provisioned and single source of truth. So I guess a bit of the same thing. You have this file, you have, for example, a repository for it, and everything lies in there. Personally, I don't remember when I last time for my company Discontos logged into AWS. I do everything in Terraform, apply it, and it just works. So yeah, I will do a small demo. It's nothing really big, just to get understanding how, for example, a resource is structured. Can you thumbs up if you see my IDE? Yeah. So for example, in this case, I have a domain, Disconto CEO. So this one. And I want to add a CNAME to DNS, so DNS record CNAME, to go to Gmail. Yeah, not that useful, but as an example works. For this case, I will create a AWS Route 53 record, which is a resource, so just a DNS record. This is defined by the provider used, so it's a predefined, I guess, a keyword. This one is just a unique name ID of this resource for my use. I will define the zone ID, which is basically what domain, what DNS configuration I want to use to, which was defined in another file. Type of the record is CNAME. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about different records, but it's about DNS. The name mail, so we want to have mail as a subdomain, records leading to Google, time to leave, and that's it basically. So that's all I need. It will create a DNS record, push it to AWS, and do every single point of configuration by itself. So as an example, I need terminal. So yeah, I will use profile Disconto. So it's just the credentials I need to log into the AWS console. Usually it will be just private environmental variable hidden somewhere in your I don't know, GitLab or CI/CD pipeline. I want first to initialize Terraform, but yeah, I do have everything on my side, so it will just check everything is all right. I will plan it, so to see what changes are going to happen after I apply it. So once again, it just will show you what it will do for you to review it. Let's wait. Yeah, here it is. Note that some points are being assigned automatically, so you don't need to care about some ideas, whatever. Everything that is unique or related will be assigned automatically. And then it looks good to me, so I just apply it. It will will be pushed to the AWS Route 53, so DNS service, and it will work as it is. Similarly to as Matas was talking about, yeah, I need to clarify that, yes, I want to push it. Similarly, as Matas told you about Ansible, it will not change the files unless needed. So if everything is according to the configuration, it will tell you that, okay, it's up to date, nothing has changed, so nothing to do. Yeah, I guess that's not as important. It will apply and will be good. I won't show you that it has done something because DNS sometimes takes time to update, so it's good enough. Yeah, in my personal experience, I do like it a lot as well. So it helps me to manage all my infrastructure, Disconto, and includes server, like we have complex DNS configuration for different sites. We have so backend application, we have front-end application, other resources, CDN, kind of storage. That's good enough for us. Yes, I guess I don't want to take a lot of your time, just give you a quick introduction into Terraform. So if you want to look into it more closely, feel free to do that yourself. Maybe if you have any questions, just ask it up.
Yeah, let's give it a clap. Anyone who's left in here, let's go. Great presentation. I did have a question. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're not using any provider, or let's say you're using like a obscure provider for a server. Is Terraform useful at all or no?
That's a good question. The thing is, Terraform has a lot of different modules, so it's extendable tool. I guess you can write your own module to kind of describe the server you need. I kind of, when I heard your talk about Ansible, I imagined that like the difference between these two tools, although they were listed in your chart by usage, as I understand, by some people they are compared as similar tools. But I feel like the difference is that Ansible is more kind of machine hardware, kind of very low level, so described how machine will interact with things. While this one, Terraform, is more about providers, so different cloud providers or systems. It will interact with this kind of via API or different kind of connection.
Yep.
I guess you can find modules for some things very low level for machine, so some modules.
I see. Yeah, they're a bit different, yeah.
I wanted to say something. Yeah, in general, that's it.
All right. So if no more questions, I'll give an update. I'll hijack your screen share in a sec. Yeah, and we'll be closing this out very soon. Yeah, so let me just take this. All right, so the update here is that we'll be collaborating with RUG, which is a university, Groningen, I think, in the Netherlands as well, and they also have a DSC. We will hopefully be collaborating for an event sometime early May. This is a part of a joint effort, sort of to merge powers, maybe go out with a bang. So we're hopefully going to have either serverless, which may be like Amazon Web Services something, or we may have like Salta or some fancy new web frameworks. So this is still up for debate. These two types of events will be coming from our end, but our folks at the RUG will also bring something to the table as well. So yeah, keep an eye on the WhatsApp, keep an eye on Discord if you're there. Actually, let's I'm pretty sure everyone's here is in the Discord, but I'll make an invite just so that you can join if you want. So let me go to the chat. It's going to be in Zoom chats. It's okay to open here. Boom, I posted it there. So just join and then ask for the WhatsApp invite in there if you want. Yeah, so to close out, thanks for anyone who showed up. This is a bit of a cozier type of event, and I hope you enjoyed our talks. If you have any more questions for the like about any of the talks or about the club, be sure to reach out. You can do that probably easiest via Discord. My handle is Sharky, SCHR key, or you can ping in the or type in the WhatsApp group as well. I think you're probably able to type maybe. Yeah, All right. See you guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Have a good rest of your evening.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for joining. See ya.